Hey everyone! Now would be a good time to create our title above our container, our header. So we're going to go ahead and do it using a functional component. So we're going to go into our components folder. Let's create another folder and we're going to call it functional. And then inside functional, let's create a file called header with a capital H, header.js. Hit enter. Okay, so in here we're going to do our usual. So we're going to import, and we're going to let's just type it out this time. So import React from React, and then at the bottom we'll put export header. Oops, export default header. Okay. And then, so we're going to create our functional component. So we're going to say function, and then it's called header. So, and we got to put in our curly, or our parentheses, and then our curly brace. Now, in the class component, we have the render lifecycle, but in the functional component, we don't, because the return is it's like a render. It's just the same. So it's just going to return. Let me just do that. Tab it in. Return. And then why don't we return we're going to create a header. So an HTML header. Okay. Let's see if it does it. There we go. And then inside of that, let's put an H1. And then inside of that, let's put the title that we would like. So I'm going to put my to-do list. Okay. Let me clean this up a little bit. Alright, so now we're going to save, and then we're going to not see it yet because we have to import it into app.js. So save, and now we're going to go over to app.js, and at the top we're going to import it. Let's import it after the CSS. So import header from, and then our path is components. We're in the components folder, and then we're in the functional folder, and then header. Did I call it header? Yeah, I called it header. Okay. And then what we'll do next is we'll come down here to the render, and we'll put it in here, and let's put it, since we want it to show up before the container, let's put it right before the container. Remember the to-do container? Okay, so header. Okay, save. It should show up. All right. Okay, let's go do some styling. So let's go back to our header component. And inside the header, let's do some styling. So how about we do it a little differently this time? Let's create a variable this time. Style equals, so we're going to do our curly braces. So if we were going to just put in the style right here, we'd do 2 curly braces, and then we put in like the background color and such and such. But let's do a variable instead. So let's put 1 curly brace in and call it whatever we want. So let's call it header style. Well, let's just do a regular header. Whoops. Header style. Okay. All right, and so we need to go above this variable and put it in we have to make the variable. Otherwise, we'll have an error. So const, so we have to define it ahead of time. Const header style equals, then our curly braces, and then we're going to put in our style. So let's see. Let's do background how about we do, let's just do blue. And yeah, I'm not spending the time to look up some good colors and stuff. And then color is going to be, let's just make it white so we can see the text. And let's do, how about, what do you want to do next? Padding. Let's do some padding. A little bit of padding. Let's do 5 pixels and see if we like it. And then we'll do a text center. Text the line to get it centered. Got to do that camel case business again. All right. Center. Duh. Okay. So let's see what it looks like. I like it. It looks good. All right. All right. The next thing we're going to do is underneath our title, we need to add the Add to List button. So we're going to do that next. All right. Let's go into the Components folder and create another file. And let's call it Add to List. So add capital T, capital L, .js. Okay, so here it is. So at the top we'll say import React from React. And this time we're going to make a class component. So class, the name of it is add to list, class add to list, and then extends React dot component, and then curly braces, and then we're going to do our render, and then we're going to do our return. And before we get into all that, let's go to the very bottom and do our export so we don't forget. Export default add to list. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do in here is let's create a div, sort of like a container for our buttons and such. And then we're going to actually create a form. So let's do form tag. Okay. And then, oh, go away. Okay. So let's do an input. So our first input is going to be, so we're going to do input type equals text. And then let's do name equals title. Let's see, let's do a placeholder. Oh, placeholder equals, and let's put in add to list. Dot, 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 so people know that that's what that is. And there's our input field. Okay, now let's create a button next to it. So input type is button, or actually should we do button or submit? Let's do submit because we're doing a submit button. Submit, and then we'll do value equals submit, and then we'll do, that's all we'll do. Let's just do it. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. All right. Let's see if I typed everything okay. All right. So what we're going to do is save. And let's go back to our app.js and let's bring it in. Okay, so let's bring it in right here. Import. Let's import it right after the functional one. Import, add to list from, and our path is components and add to list. Okay, and then we're going to bring it down here to the render, and let's put it right after the header. Add to list, save, see if it shows up. Looks good. Okay, we can do a little bit of styling on it, and then we need to make it functional. So let's go ahead and do that in the next video.